and once everybody found that folder on the FTP server, everybody started calling it Linux.
Folder on the
calling
FTP
it Linux.
server?
Huh?
That was you. He forgot to mute his YouTube.
Oh, that was
Yes,
me
exactly.
That was me coming back. Okay, that's what I sound like. Why didn't anyone tell me?
Yeah, you being encoded and re-encoded and decoded, and then.
But I thought that was an interesting piece of history where he didn't want it called Linux or Linux.
I can understand that. I wouldn't either if I come up with something, because I'd want it to be beyond me. I want it to exist past me, you know. But then again, I am kind of a narcissist too. So maybe.
Yeah, ftp.fundnet.fi. I remember that because there's a couple websites or FTP servers I used to go to. It was Fundnet, the Sunnet site, and then I went to ftp.cdrom.com, and then WUarchive.wusto.edu, which was the Washington University at St. Louis. Those were the 3 FTP servers I used to grab Linux stuff from. But the original was well, look at it again. The ftp.fundnet.fi was the original FTP server that you would get the Linux kernel from.
Is Dale's volume kind of low for everybody else, or just me?
Just you.
What's the matter?
Everybody's volume is low, and I don't know why. I got
Turn your
the
volume
button
up?
turned up. I've got everything turned up. Well, all right. Well, you know what? Maybe one more button. Let me try.
Maybe less
Okay,
shitty
that's better.
headphones.
Yeah. No.
You
There's something
just
that I
walked
do.
right into that.
Yeah.
Something I end up doing is I'll turn someone's volume down because one time they'll have like super hot mic, and then I'll forget that it remembers that. And so then the next time, like Joe, I have turned down a bit because at some point he was loud.
Yeah, I opened the door on a comment.
You're in Fort Wayne. Charlie, where
Oh,
you
wow.
at? Let's see. I think I can figure
Hey,
it out.
man, I'm really in Fort Wayne. You know?
Yeah, because we talk like that.
Sorry about- you don't talk like in that area.
No, we don't talk. No, we don't talk like that.
Smattered shoe. While you're up, get me a beer.
One of those buildings was slightly off.
But I opened the door on a comment on the OTC before we. Was that during the OTC recording, or was that
I don't know.
the
I didn't pay any
pre-show?
attention to any of it.
Yeah, I opened the door on a comment for. Imagine he was just like biting his tongue.
Oh God, he went full ballistic on that whole thing. Yeah, so that'll be something interesting to watch.
How'd you figure this script thing out? Is that a solution you found online, Bill, or did you deduce that somehow?
Well, I went and I looked up where are the caches for Discord, and then what I found out was that there's like 6 of them that need to be deleted. So I wanted to make a script. That I could like throw it into cron and then run it like once a month or something. Because anything that gets updated nearly as much as Discord is going to run into some cache corruption every now and then, and that only made sense. So I wrote the original script that I don't think anybody saw, that just killed the process and then deleted all those caches that are actually, they're not sitting in the cache directory either. That's the other ridiculous thing. They're sitting in the .config /config/.config/discord, and then there's like 6 different caches in there, and that was irritating. So I thought, yeah, that's going to have to be scripted. But then I found out that it was having trouble finding the right process to kill. And if you were running it in a deb, it was a different process from the Flatpak, from the snap. So I ended up putting a kill command in it to kill it no matter what you were using. It would just use the command that worked for you and then ignore all the rest of them. And then I was having a little trouble with that, so I'm not going to say I vibe coded the first part of it that kills the process, but I did get a little help, if you know what I mean, on that part of it. Because removing the caches, that was easy, but you can't do it until after the process is killed. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. It would throw a error. So yeah.
And it's already in use.
So yeah, I landed on this way of doing it, and it seems to work really well. I don't know if Joe ran it or not. He never said.
But I told Bill before we did OTC. I said he had a missed opportunity. You should have put it in the message as just curl pipe the bash.
Yeah. I just. It doesn't need to run as root. In fact, I wasn't sure if I ran it as root, if I would have to rewrite it to, because it's written in that generic way where you put the tilde into or the environment variable standing for the home directory, and I wasn't sure if I wrote it to be executed as root, if it would just delete the root home directory or clear it from there, and then of course you'd still end up with the same problem, because the problem is in the end user, the user space cache directory or whatever. So I ran it to run as a single user, and then if it needed root privileges, then it would ask for the password, which it does.
And you needed to add some echo statements that says connecting to bank. Transfer complete.
I wasn't sure
Please.
how comfortable everybody was going to be with this. So I wanted to make it as fast and frictionless as possible, because
Are you proud of us, Papa? You did it.
We're still having the
No,
same
it was
problem.
easy. I loved it.
Yeah.
You made my life easy. I like
So
that.
the
If you
reason
asked me to
other
do
people,
something, I did not see it.
You didn't see it? It's in.
No.
Well, it's in
It's
the.
always one, you know?
Yeah.
he's
one
dragging the
find it
show
in the
down
first-
now. We all got to do it, or none of us.
It's in the
Yeah.
/other directory of the mintCast Nextcloud.
Yeah.
We'll take a look
Clean
at it
Discord cache.sh. Yeah.
I assume
So
you know
I was
how to,
about to say,
Go ahead.
other people are not having this problem because they're using Windows, presumably, or Mac on Discord. It's only Linux users
No.
using Discord for voice and
No,
video.
see, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what the ultimate cause is, because last week I was on Windows for Linux for one of the shows, and we still had the same problem. So it whether I was inheriting that problem because of other people and them having the problem, forced the problem on me, or whether the servers. I'm still not convinced that there wasn't just something else going on, and it just
Maybe you
isn't
were
happening
causing
now.
the problem
Maybe.
with your Windows in. Maybe
Ooh, Windows 11, baby. Chef's kiss. It was so good. I loved every second of it.
Here's my question, though. Why isn't there a button somewhere in Discord to clear the cache if it is
Because-
that vulnerable?
Yeah, because
Or
Telegram
design.
Probably
has one.
it's probably something new. It's probably something that they just haven't seen a problem with before recent. Because I don't remember that ever happening, and I've been a Discord
No.
user for a decade. So
It didn't fix the problem with Craig, though, because I started Craig up on.
your like jerky video.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Charlie's
Craig.
video completely went blurry.
Did that happen
Great.
when we were doing distro hoppers? Because I was using Craig on that.
Who's this grey guy? Who is he?
It's a Discord bot that records the audio with separate waveforms for each person, and then you can.
Use some Discord
Easier.
to make it easier to record the podcast.
Yeah,
I thought it was some bloke who was helping you.
I'm
He's your
sure it's
evil
named
twin,
after
Charlie.
somebody. But it was
Yeah,
fantastic for a long time, and then it just started messing with the video quality, or at least on my end it was.
Well, in fairness, I think the last 40 minutes of the podcast, I was absent because of my electrical outage.
Yeah.
So Luna, the killer feature of it is it'll put everybody. So there's 7 of us right now. It'll create 7 distinct channels in an Audacity file, or tracks, I guess, and then you're able.
So
And it's
easier
already
to edit and
leveled.
stuff.
Yeah, and it's already pre-leveled. It's already it does a lot of like the auto magic stuff for you.
Yeah,
And
you
then
can-
you're just sort of inheriting a pretty close to finished file that you then would just edit for content more so than
Yeah.
quality.
Most
you can get
importantly, it keeps the time, because that's
time sync.
oh my gosh, what a nightmare when we were just doing individual Audacity recordings, because
A person can drop out and come back in.
and they're
and there's
right
no
there where
time
they
sync
need to be.
Yeah. And you can export it as, if I remember correctly, you can export it as a mux where you can't edit it. It's basically all the tracks into one file. You can export it to OGG, or what's the other one? I think there's
You get
OGG
FLAC. There's a bunch of
and
options.
FLAC. And then there's the other one where you can export it as a Audacity project, where all you have to do is import the project and it's already
That's
you
an
know, lined
Opus format when you do it that
yeah,
way.
the Opus form. That one's large. You have make sure you have a lot of disk space for that, because once you start editing, I mean, I did one episode of Distro Hoppers with the Opus, and I think my project file was like a couple gigs.
Oh, that's weird. I just use
Yeah.
the FLAC, and
Yeah.
then you just
I use
import
the,
the individual FLACs, and that seems to be the
I-
best.
I can't remember if I did FLAC or if I did the other one.
Like it's probably even larger. It's being non-compressed and all that.
I've never paid attention. I
Yeah.
because like when I record with OBS, I'm recording with the same settings as the stream settings, and when the stream settings call for like close to 10,000 kilobytes per second. So like on mintCast, for example, when I record on OBS, I end up with like 9 or 10 gigs for that file size, which is
That's video.
yeah. I mean, that's everything, you know, but
Everything. Wow.
that's why I had to go and get a 4 terabyte drive for this machine, because I hold on to that stuff probably way longer than I need to. But I'm always paranoid that if I delete this stuff, then something's gonna, hey Bill, this archive.org just went down permanently, and then we'll be screwed because we don't have our MP3s anywhere else.
Hey, I want to listen to mintCast 213. Do you have that somewhere?
I mean, the archive's got them going all the way back to the beginning. You can go on there and
You always got to have local storage for content that you own or
Yeah.
created or that you care about. You can't ever rely just on the cloud. You know that.
No, I don't. So yeah, that's a thing. I mean, it gets a bit unwieldy though after a while. GNOME application platform version 50. Ooh, the GNOME 50 flat pack is out.
Ooh.
I don't know what the heck would be using it.
What was the verdict on the Video Ninja experiment, aside from my particular trouble connecting?
I fixed that, by the way, so if we end up using it, you'll be fine. What was the problem was that I had in that URL stream, I had the width and the height specified to a certain 578 by 480 megapixels. And what I found out was that if you do that, some cameras will just error out because they don't like to be told exactly what resolution. So there's another setting called the quality setting where I can set that to and quality equals 2, and that will just tell your camera to use whatever closest to 360p it will support, and then also that'll have a lower bit rate. So that I changed the URL string in the redirect. So if anybody needs to use that instead of /VDO after mintcast.org, use VDO low. Otherwise, /VDO will just give you wide open. It'll just let your system decide what it wants to do without any restrictions to the... usually by default, I think it's 720p is what it will broadcast your video at. But then there's no restriction on the bit rate or anything like that.
Pretty much like the streaming apps. That's the reason why I had to go to unlimited on my plan for my travel route, my mobile router, is because if the History Channel app says, dude, you can stream 4K, here you go, I can't stop it. I get 4K because I just got tired of going over my 100
because you're
gigabit.
on a metered connection, that...
Yeah, I would go over my 100 gigabytes, and then they would knock me down to 500K, but because they're doing some secret sauce where I can use any of the 4 carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, US Cellular.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have that feature of rate limiting. They just cut you off completely, and I have no internet at all. So I had to upgrade to the unlimited plan because
How much do you pay for that?
Had a problem with grandparents when they have mobile before they had fiber, and me and all my siblings was using Spotify. No more internet for the 2-3 weeks.
Yikes.
oh yeah, it goes through data fast. I can't believe.
How
I
much
mean,
do you pay for it? How much do you pay for your internet over there in our ex-colony?
What do you pay? What do you pay for that? That's all LTE or 5G.
For me, it's a little more. Now everyone's jaw's going to drop because of how much I pay for this, but you have to remember I live on the road, and like I said, I either have the choice of getting the fire hose of 4K when I have the bandwidth for it, or I watch nothing. So I just upgraded to it, and it's $169 for unlimited. But here's the thing. This
You
is
can
how
use
I
any
sort of
carrier though. It'll connect.
this is how, yeah. This is how I rationalize it. Is if I were to go to AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, or US Cellular, they all have 100 gigabyte plans. So that would be anyway. I don't know all their pricing, but you're basically going to be paying $50 to $80 for each one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much having all 4 for unlimited. And the thing is, the secret sauce that they're doing, which I have no idea how they're doing it, because all my traffic is being routed through New Hampshire, where they're at, and they actually have their own network. They actually have their own. I'm blanking on it now. Autonomous system, ASM number for the internet. So they're an actual tier 1 internet partner where they can stream. I mean, not stream. They can get onto the backbone, directly, and they have the agreements with the carriers. They have priority, and this is something I learned. Also, remember when I did that deep dive with the cellular networks on mintCast?
Yeah.
I didn't even go through half the stuff because we were time constrained, and we even split it up over 2 episodes, and there is still content that I didn't get to. But basically what I learned in that deep dive was you have a thing called channel priority. And if you're a customer of like AT&T and you're on an AT&T tower, you're going to get priority over a person that may be on an NVMO that's using AT&T's towers. Or in my case, I have channel priority, or tower priority rather, on all 4 of them. So if I'm on a T-Mobile tower and there's T-Mobile customers, I'm treated as if I'm a T-Mobile customer.
Yeah.
So, but
There was a
before
guy at the
that,
truck show selling a system like that. It just looks like a regular router, but it connects to 5G and whatnot.
now my previous plan was $100 a month, and that was for 100 gigabytes with the four cellular providers. And my phone plan, just to answer Charlie's question, my phone plan through my cable company, which is called Spectrum, it's a subsidiary of Charter Communications. It's, I think, $35 or $45, and I think they have unlimited data and I think 10 gigabytes for hotspot. My cable internet with Spectrum, what I'm using right now, I think it's $65 or $75 for 1 gigabyte. But I have what they call bundling, where I have a phone that I don't use because it'll plug into my router, but I don't even have a phone to plug into it, or actual, telephone, POTS, the plain old telephone service. Well, I got that. I got television. I've got mobile. So they claim that it's cheaper that way. And I pay like $150 some dollars for all of this for at home.
If I had your
So
money,
you got-
I'd burn mine.
Well, it's also, I didn't want to be the humble brag, is because I can afford it. I mean, yeah, if I wasn't driving, I mean, as soon as I get local work, or if I stop driving, yeah, I'm gonna basically have like, I'll instantly be making $200 more per month just because I'm not spending it on internet.
I think if I was on the road on the weekends like you are, I probably would invest in something like that. I'm getting by with just tethering to my phone because I'm on an unlimited plan with that. Unlimited in the way Verizon defines the word unlimited.
Yeah, Texas does not like Verizon. Or
Yeah,
AT&T.
I mean, I do
And
okay.
I get stuck there a lot.
Yeah, I do okay. No, see, I don't get stuck. I'm never going down that road again.
Yeah, it's like once you're in Texas, you're stuck in. Well, actually, not with my company really. The only problem with my company, the way we have our customer thing set up, is it's always on one extreme side of Texas to the other. So we do a lot of Texas to Ohio, and Texas like Indiana, Texas to California type stuff. And to give you an example, if I have to go to Laredo, pick up something at our terminal or at one of the customers down there, and I have to go to Ohio, I have to go up all of I-35 into Dallas. Sometimes I can go through Corsicana and cut that off, cross was it 84, and then 84 splits off onto 37. And then you can yada yada yada, go around Dallas. But it's never a quick thing because what I-35 I think is like 530 miles long from Laredo all the way to the Oklahoma border. I-20 is like 636 miles long from the border of Louisiana to where it terminates into I-10 right near
What's the
Van
one?
Horn.
10 is the one that's like 800 miles long.
Oh yeah, it's like 870,
Yeah.
880 miles from Anthony, Texas, all the way to the east side of Beaumont before you get into Louisiana. Yeah, so when you're in Texas, you're going to stay a while. Even my truck's speed limited, but even at the speed limit of
Mine's
75
not.
miles an hour, yeah, you're lucky.
Well, it's a responsibility that I take seriously.
But even at 75, it's well.
They used to be, when I
I-35.
started driving in the 90s, it was 55 for trucks all the way across. And
Then they had the day
that
and
was
night speed limits.
mind-numbing.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had separate daytime and nighttime. And
yeah. Joe would remember that, where you had the 70 during the day and 60 at night. But the I-35 needs to be burnt. It needs to be burnt down, and they need to do something with it because
They also need to, retrain every driver that ever got their license in the state of Texas.
that's true too. But yeah, it's like Austin. The only time you can go through Austin is from like 11 to about 4 in the morning. 11 at night until 4 in the morning. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting in traffic. And San Antonio was fine until they decided to tear it up too. And now San Antonio is pretty rough. They're working. That's the thing I always tell people about TxDOT. They do excellent work. It's like some of the
Unless it
best
snows.
roads in the country.
Best
it just takes them
roads?
5 times. Oh yeah.
have you ran 30 out of Dallas all the way back into...
No. I mean, when they initially make the road, it's great. They just don't maintain it. That's the problem. But
Hey, I
when
hate
they
to change the subject,
yeah.
but we need to go over something here real quick. Joe, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I put a link in the Discord. Something that we've been kicking around. Well, we've been talking about doing. If you follow that link, we were talking about bringing all 3 shows. We talked to Dale about this a little while ago. What we want to do is bring all 3 shows under an umbrella, which I'll let Charlie pitch it here in a minute. But it will bring some benefits, like a unified conversation, perhaps, and then maybe an all access feed. But we also want to start offering alternative edits to the show, where you can participate in the live, or you can get a more edited version of the show on YouTube, but also a much more edited version of the audio podcast, and then bring all these shows under this umbrella. But we didn't want to do it unless everybody was kind of on board. I don't know, Charlie, you speak about it better than I do.
It's only that I, being just a listener to the show and now participating in the chats, is that first of all the chats are all divided. No, you can't. There is already
What
very
shows
little
are you talking about
conversation
bringing
going
together?
on.
Well, go look at the website.
No,
Oh,
I'm busy taking apart a laptop.
Oh,
Just why my camera's not on.
mintCast, OTC, and Distro Hoppers.
The 3 separate podcasts.
Right.
Yeah. But it's to bring like the conversation together, because nobody's contributing to any of the Discord servers. And if you want to sort of share something and you've got something to say and you are part of the 3, then you have to share it on all 3. Like, I just bought stickers that were quite funny, and you have to post it to 3 different places and even that didn't get any conversation going anyway. But it would be easier if everybody came together. Plus, it'd be nice to promote. It's easier to promote all the different podcasts under one banner. I mean, it's not saying that it's going to change any of the actual the podcasts. It's just to sort of make them all join together with one sort of directive to maybe to help promote them. Maybe we can promote it as one unified group. Did that make that clear with that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They made it clear. Why the hell is this laptop jumping all the way up to like 95 degrees Celsius as soon as it's turned on, even in the BIOS?
Wow.
Fans not running?
Is that related to the conversation?
No, he's just
If you want my
talking about
focus, it is.
something else. I'll say this: it kind of reminds me of what the audio podcast Late Night Linux group does. They have
Yes.
a half a dozen podcasts.
Broadcasting.
Yeah, and they're audio podcasts, but they're completely separate. Although there's some crossover, with the cast and
Well, we
of
can't
who's on
exactly
each one.
call ourselves the Linux group. That's already taken.
No,
What
we've
do you
got a
think
name.
about-
We've got a name.
Yeah, we-
It's. I shared the link in the
Or
Discord.
what Jupiter Broadcasting or Flex Digital did before they started fighting.
Actually,
Although I will say this, the solution you were trying to solve about what Charlie mentioned about bringing all the chats together, I just want to explain something. If you follow the Late Night Linux podcast, every one of their chats are divided. They haven't solved that issue. Even though the podcasts are under one group, the reality is they have a Discord, a Matrix, they have a separate IRC, and they're all separate. None of them are integrated. So
I think they lean
I mean,
heavily into the Telegram though, and the Telegram does feel a bit more
If you
unified.
guys want to
Then
build
you have to
singular
decide what chat rooms are official chat rooms and what chat rooms are unofficial chat rooms. And
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't like Discord anyway. I think it's terrible. We're meant to be open source, and and then we're in this what is quite an awful system. But yeah, it's where the people are, so I guess we have to use it. But the main thing being is that there are 3 different podcasts, and there is no conversation going on in any of those. So it's not that we're using different Matrix, we're not Telegram, yada yada yada. It's very little conversation going. So if we could bring them together, at least we can get one conversation going about Linux. Does that make sense? If I want to share something about my experience, or I've got a tip, where do I do it? Which one? I mean, all 3 of those different those Discord servers. Do I have to go and share them in all 3? And that's what I found, and I found that people. We even had a conversation today with Dale, and it jumped from it was in distro hoppers, then it moved over to mintCast, and then it jumped into so
OTC,
it was moving around the 3. Yeah, it was moving between the 3. So and I was like, I didn't see that. I didn't see it move. I thought they were running away from me at one point. But I just think that that would be helpful. And also, if there is a thought of maybe at some point getting people to subscribe, maybe become patrons of the of it, it would help, because I don't think with the participation we have, that you're going to get anybody to subscribe on one individual one, but maybe all 3 together would be interesting.
And if we
Also as well. Now, and just jumping on to the fact of the people, I think. Well, I know a lot of myself even. To listen to a 2.25 hour podcast is a lot of time. Especially when you're diverting slightly onto other subjects, and so I think a lot of people might be interested in having a more edited version of the podcast that would reduce it to about 45 minutes. I know this is probably very controversial.
Boy, I've tried like hell.
how would you do that? You'd have to lop off huge sections of the podcast.
Yes. It would do, yes.
Spend
Yeah.
an
So
inordinate amount of time editing, which is where we all
but if-
came up with the problem, because we used to, heavily edit the show. But
I'm just a listener, but can't chapter markers and chapters help a lot here?
But it's like any, you know, most shows are about 45 minutes. That's the sort of standard.
Not
And,
nowadays, they aren't.
Well, I think you run
Yeah,
with
but
Linux
not-
podcasts. You most of the ones I listen to anyway are.
Well, they're all about 40, unless they're interviews with people, which are just totally focused on one subject, and they're constantly on like a Diary of a CEO and things like. They can go on for 2.5 hours. Trigonometry, they can go on for 2 hours. You know, they're on a particular subject. But but if you're on a particular subject like Linux, then you know people may want to listen to more Linux conversation. You know, and so if I'm sort of diving into a pool of of difficulty here, but
No, I mean it's like I
maybe-
mentioned. It's like I mentioned on OTC as well. Just before OTC, which was that we had a system, and the system was we did a big long podcast. We edited it into two separate episodes, each of which would be about an hour and a bit long, and that seemed to kind of work out okay. Then now that we've moved over to this. 1 week we do, one show we do Wanderings, one show we do News, and we only do an innards if there's something interesting comes up, like Dale with Sync Thing a couple of months ago. Somehow we've managed to kind of increase the size. We started talking more and more. And so I suppose the only thing to say is we just need to be a little bit more stricter with the time, maybe to an extent that okay, we're going to record that. And there has been a couple that worked really well when we've like spent an hour 15, we've talked about the news, and it's I remember once I think it did, maybe Bill wasn't there or somebody wasn't there anyway, and was like, oh my god, you guys finished quickly. But we had a good conversation because we talked about all the different news articles that we wanted to talk about. So maybe it's just more of a case because I know I can drone on for a bit. I'll be honest with you, I can talk for England.
To be honest, the nice thing is that the conversation can happen fluidly, but there is a lot of, you don't want to be thinking that, we have to do this, we have to do that. But when the person is listening, that some of them may want to listen to the whole thing, and some people don't have that time to listen to a whole. Myself, as a listener before, and I've listened since like day one, it's I would just skip, say I use Pocket Cast, so I just skip over the things I'm not interested in, which is, it's not real because I have to go into the phone. When I'm walking the dog, I can just skip over it. But, you don't want to do that. Really, you want to have a prepared thing that's more professional and organized, and also live doesn't end up in the YouTube.
I had a problem right when you said the word professional.
Yeah.
Professionals get paid.
Well,
what's?
This is a
I think
hobby.
It doesn't mean you have to be paid to be professional.
There's going to be a lot of mattress ads now. Yes, joking.
from my part, I mean the main reason that a lot of when we said that we were just going to do news on one episode, it got to the point where I just could not keep up anymore with the editing and publishing and doing all this stuff on the. It was starting to get into my marriage. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't bring it up. This is the first time I've talked about it, but I really needed to lower the intensity of the labor quite a bit. I don't have a single podcast that I'm a part of where I can just sit in front of the camera and talk, and then when it's over with, I get up and walk away like everybody else. I'm down here doing the editing for another hour or two after everybody else goes and does what they want to do, afterwards. That was why it was no longer sustainable to do the big long podcast. We'd be sitting in front of these cameras for 3 hours, and then I would have to do the work twice of putting out 2 episodes out of that, So anything we can do, unless there's other people. I wonder if I put out this thing like I don't want anybody to help. because I don't want it to seem that way. But at the same time, I understand that I've made it complicated. I've made it make sense for me, and in doing that, I feel like maybe I've created this greater context where, you know, it looks like I don't want anybody else touching it, you know. That's not the case. I would enjoy somebody coming along and helping out with it.
Oh, we used to have an audio editor.
Yeah, we did, but now she wants money to do it, so that's not going to happen. When you got $0 coming in, you need $0. You need $0
Which is something
solutions.
I have to think about, you know, because those days have gone, you know. When I mean, it's nice. I mean, if it is just a passion project, then okay. But you know, it'd be nice if you had the possibilities to have an audio editor and produce a podcast that's.
Well, if you want to pay for it.
Or do it yourself. If you want to do the audio editing, do it yourself. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my solution is simple. Nobody should be listening to audio-only podcasts if it has a video component. So, and if you do,
Yeah,
just
but
download the video and don't look at it. There's no such thing in my world as a separate audio podcast, assuming there's a video component.
But that's not a podcast then. That's just a YouTube show, you know.
Listen,
and
semantics aside,
yeah,
whatever
if
you want to
look
call
at the
this.
numbers,
To
though,
me, this is a YouTube show.
if you look at the numbers, there's many times more listeners of the show than there are. It seems like the biggest number of people that are consuming on YouTube are the ones that are showing up for the live stream, and that's
Hardcore. Yeah.
In such a show like this, I mean, what benefit do you have of looking at our ugly faces? You know, we're not actually supermodels or all satire, you know. So
I mean, I always thought it was a bit of redundancies to make sure that, you know, if we did have issues with our audio recordings, we still always had. So, for example, the Atypical Doctor podcast that I do, the only reason, genuinely, that I stream it is just that I've got redundancy, and if my Audacity recordings go, and or you know, or if Discord messes up or something like that.
For us now, I mean, it's nice because I can, if I don't see you, I don't know when I can interrupt you. When I can see you taking a breath, and I can jump in there and cut you off in your mid-speak, you know, as I just did then. But you know, when you're just on verbal, you
Which
can't
is why
do
we
that,
had video
you know.
amongst ourselves long before we were putting it out on YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's helpful for
It is,
us
but I mean,
recording it live to have video,
There's
even
no
if
bonus
we didn't
for
put out the
people.
video.
There's no bonus for anybody, you know, unless they really want to see our faces, which is not, you know, it's. There are so many podcasts that have their own video element, but they're not. It doesn't. 99% of the people, I think, go for the audio because you can drive to work listening to a podcast, but you can't.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd still how if I'd miss an episode of whether it's OTC or mintCast, that's still how I generally catch up on it. It's an audio thing. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
It also
Why do you have to
depends if
edit
you're-
the audio if you're not editing the video? That's my question. Because you're making it sound like the audio podcast is more labor, it's more editing. Why?
because that's where I'm going through and I'm looking for all the times everybody's kicking their microphone stand or
Eating
chewing,
crisps.
eating something, or and I'm removing that. I'm also truncating the timing, where when it goes through and it takes out, and you would be amazed how much it shortens the overall timeline of a show when you remove like awkward pauses and things like that in between people talking. And I'm doing that, but I'm also doing some compression. I'm filtering out some of the low end noise. There's a lot more production value in the audio only.
Okay.
You know, there's a limiter I put on the end, and then after it's all cleaned up, I run it through a overall loudness normalization, which sets it to the perfect.
Where did I put my thermal paste?
the perfect RMS or LUFS
I was asking you, Bill.
factor.
Get out your bingo card. Joe said thermal paste.
I got mine right here, Joe.
Mind me here.
Yeah, I can save
Bring it over
like
here, damn it.
15, 20 minutes on distro hoppers alone with just two people.
You want MX6 or let's see what else I
I've
got
seen
here.
thermal paste in 10 years.
I got
I've never listened to the audio podcast.
Azrod.
So I guess
In
I
the-
missed all those.
I mean, Bill. I mean, if you're happy for a noob
Arctic
to have
Silver?
a go,
You got Arctic Silver?
This is Arctic Silver, I think.
Perfect. Bring it by.
It's Noctua.
I mean, I would
That
like,
in
I mean,
Sweden.
as a listener, to be honest, I mean, it would be nice to have. I mean, I'm tuning in first of all to listen about Linux, which I've always done. I mean, it's nice to enjoy a little bit of the conversation, but it'd be nicer to if you gave me a choice between an edited version, which just gave me the Linux part of it, and then you had one that was the full edit with conversations and everything. Maybe sometimes I'd listen to the whole thing, but then there's sometimes when I'd just say, no, I just want to get Linux bit, because I am tuning into Linux OTC or Linux or mintCast or distro hoppers. So there, I think an edited version and even adding in those little, what do they call them now, shorts on YouTube.
So Bill,
really
if you want a hand with the audio editing, I'm happy to get involved in that.
I'm also good for that as well. Yeah.
I think what I need to do to start with, I need to make, and I've been talking about doing this for months, make a little video and put it maybe on both channels
Years.
about the two processes, the processes of the editing and then the process of publishing. I think where I would see the most annoying errors is in the publishing, because that's probably the part that
There is a write-up already on the.
And-
Can I just
that
ask,
needs
though,
to be
a
deleted.
question, though? Can I just ask? I mean, what do people think? Would you like? I mean, is everybody happy with the way just things are, or
Look,
are they just?
anytime you make a change to a podcast, or don't make a change to a podcast, there's always going to be somebody that's pissed off about it.
Yeah, and I think
Absolutely.
what we have to do, and this has been my thinking since the get-go, is rather than not say anything and then allow it to become something that is unwieldy and unsustainable, because you don't have to look very far to see how unsustainable it has been in the past, because we've gone through more hosts than any other show I know of. Just in the
I'm
Probably
time
more
I've been
open
here.
about taking on hosts.
Listeners, I don't want to be too annoying, but I think chapter markers would help if some people only want to listen to some specific parts.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing that doubles the effort that has to get put into.
I understand
the
that someone
editing,
has to
you know.
someone has to do it, and it takes time.
Eric.
It's also,
No, you can-
that people don't want to do that. They just want to listen. You want to set something going.
Some do, some
and then
don't.
you walk away and do something.
Every time I've
You don't-
ever
you know,
done
you don't-
chapters, people have been happy about it, and I wish.
I mean, surely there's got to, this surely sounds like a job for AI. If we're going to get AI to make the chapters for us, we've got, we've
But
got
then
our.
people find out that on an old podcast like this, people find out that we're using AI tools. Look what
And
happens.
then they get mad.
Okay, then
Like
fine.
I
They
said,
can listen to
any
something
change
else.
you implement,
Yeah.
people
Let
are
me
gonna
ask
get mad.
Eric. Eric wants to say. Eric's been he's always been a very one of my heroes of podcasting on the Linux thing.
He is the old sage voice of
the
wisdom.
old sage.
Yeah, they're calling you old, Eric. They're calling you old.
That's
I didn't
okay.
do that.
He
they
knows he's
did.
old, and
I
I can
feel
say
old.
that.
It's okay. Yeah, I
It's
feel
the
old. so that
voice of
I'm
reason.
happy with that.
Oh, it's the voice
Um,
of reason, is it?
So a couple
it-
things.
Yeah, go on.
One is the expectation out of audio on a video for YouTube, I think, is much lower. You can see the people talking. You can read their lips if you have to. There's captions. Like, there is a whole different set of expectations and deliverables for a video than there is for audio. To me, audio is, you're only listening, right? There's no other way for you to consume that unless you're using some kind of like a screen reader or something, accessibility. So to me, whenever the audio is bad on an audio only podcast, that just speaks volumes about whether or not you actually care to put the time and effort into it, which to me then says, like,
But
I'll
if you
give,
can't be bothered, why should I be? Kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. Why should I care? And I will allow, like, that you're not editing out every flub or, and ah or cough or whatever, or munching sound. Like, that's fine. As long as I can hear you clearly, and I don't have to, like, struggle, then that's really what I'm looking for. Like, there's a certain level of audio production, like the quality has to be there. And it's not hard to achieve. It's just not in this day and age. And then the chapter markers thing. Yeah. I mean, to me at this point, if I was ever doing videos or audio podcasts or something, I don't think I would ever go back to doing that kind of stuff manually, because there are just so many tools out there right now. And, people can piss on AI all they want, but the truth is, like, that is the use case that actually makes sense for these tools.
We're not
Right,
costing
that's something
someone
where,
their job. We're making our
Right,
life easier.
right. You're taking the output of the automatically recognized voice to text in the the subtitles or captions or whatever, and you're using a tool to look at those captions and determine when a topic changes. And it's really good at doing it, and it saves you,
I would be
a lot of time
glad.
in dealing with something.
I would be glad to let somebody else do that.
I mean, it's interesting, actually. I mean, slight tangent, but like, I was at a university open day today for my son, who's hopefully going to be starting university later in the year, and he's doing business and law is the plan if he gets the grades. Anyway, they had a whole discussion about AI, and not in the sense of, oh, AI, don't use it for your things, we'll come and get you or whatever. It was like, okay, well, AI tools exist. It can be very useful in business management and law. We're going to teach you how to use them. We'll use the different models and this time where you can actually use it to help. So yeah, Eric's right. This is exactly what AI should be for, not the stuff that it is being used for. So yeah, as I said, I think I'm if each of these things, I think in of itself, that does have a solution. You're right, Joe, that the first thing about change is that nobody likes change. That's just it.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. There will be people that will be quite happy with it. They, however, will not be vocal. But anytime you make a change, there will be someone that complains.
Yeah.
Well, my suggestion
easier to
here was,
complain than say thanks. Sadly.
my suggestion was to have like the you've got the whole live version here, which is the full thing and everybody can watch it. Then you've got, because it's not showing up in feeds because it's a lives don't come up in many feeds. So when like Linux Saloon and various others, they don't appear in people's feed. So that's why
is that an SEO problem, or is it?
No, it's just the way it is on YouTube. I just don't think that lives appear in a general feed most
that
of the
sucks.
time. So
That's right.
So then you produce an edited version of around 45 minutes, taking out anything that's maybe it's great for us because we're making conversation, but but for other people to listen to may not be the most entertaining, and so you just trim it down, take out a few things, and give them a 45-minute podcast with all the best bits of that. Therefore, because the worst thing is if you're pushing people's conversation, we've got to keep jumping. Oh no, we've got to keep saying this. We've got to keep doing. Oh no, let's not talk about this because that's not the subject. Because then you lose the flow. But if you can let the flow happen and then trim it down, and then produce something that is more easy for somebody who only has 45 minutes. Yeah, it's great to say let's if you're doing a podcast or a video about producing something, doing something, etc., then those little timestamps are okay. But if you're just putting on something on your YouTube and walking away and doing the laundry or whatever, then you don't want to keep coming back and going, oh God, But like me, when I'm walking the dog, I have to keep going like, oh God, they're talking about sheep shearing. I tuned in for Linux, so I'm like going like this until they go through the sheep shearing, and then I jump onto Linux again. Then I'm listening because I'm not interested in sheep shearing.
What you're suggesting, Charlie, is listen. I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense. But you're either volunteering Bill, who's already overworked, for a whole bunch of more busy work doing detailed editing, or you're volunteering to do it yourself, and then you guys got to figure out how to get the assets and send it back and forth with FTP or whatever the case is. It's what I mean. And by the way, you're right. A lot of shows go long. Like, I listen to other podcasts that have nothing to do with Linux, nothing to do with computers, and I've noticed the same thing. Some of my favorite podcasts, I spent 2.5 hours earlier today listening to two dudes talk about betting on the most insignificant UFC card of the year. And their shows used to be like an hour and 20 minutes, and now they keep getting longer and longer and longer. Now they're up to 2.5 hours, and I think the same. But it was interesting. I listened to the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, I think the shows tend to get longer and longer over time unless you are very careful about doing it. But the kind of editing you're talking about is micro editing. It's a lot. You got to really listen, make decision after decision after decision, and start getting the best bits. That's not just like AI can't do that. You've got to do the work.
I volunteer. I'm happy to do it. I am semi-retired. I have the time.
You also,
if you pay me money,
one
I'll
volunteer.
leave.
Can I get another one?
If you don't pay me money, you get cut out.
you have to look at it from the standpoint of what you're gaining, because there is a certain amount of editing that I think makes sense. I did it way too overboard. It would take me hours and hours and hours, and then I ended up resenting it because I was being stupid about it. What I really needed to do was just look for broad stroke, like major technical issues, or things not lining up, or like things that made it almost impossible to listen to, versus every little like that was stupid. I should have never done that, And so that, I don't disagree, but I'm also saying, Charlie, that you will drive yourself bonkers if you try to do every little tiny little detail. So I think it makes sense, and it doesn't take away from the listenability. Okay.
For me, it's not the coughs, it's the subject. It's nice that you flow into conversations flow. It's like if I was chatting with somebody for 3 hours, great. For me and them, it's a wonderful conversation. But if I then replayed it to somebody and they were like, my God, 3 hours, I can't listen to 3 hours of this. But if I edited it down to an hour, they'd be like, wow, that's such a lovely conversation you two had. And I think
you have fun with that.
It's only a suggestion.
Yeah.
That's what 3X
I'm only going to listen to the full show. I don't like to listen to edited anything, but I know I'm probably.
You must have the time, because
minority.
I know a lot of people don't have time. That's why shorts now are so popular, because it just takes out the best of the show, and that's also something I think would be interesting to do, is to take out little classic bits. Like I was listening to Distro Hoppers, and Dale was talking on a particular. Exactly what it was, totally away from distros. Was it the last one or the one before? And it was really interesting. You could take that out as one piece and put it as a small short, rather than being a whole thing. So
What
interesting.
we're saying is that this is a lot of work, and we would have to have someone that was willing to put in that extra amount of work.
Well, I'm here.
I mean, we'll give you the audio and let you chop it up any way you want to, and give you access to the archive and the ability to set up the RSS any way you want.
Yeah. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah, but for the time being, this umbrella idea that we have, though, this is mainly putting something in place that we can add value to as we go along.
The Linux Syndicate, I saw that. So now I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. I could probably get it by actually reading the documentation you put there. But yeah, I'm busy putting this laptop back together because it actually is maintaining its temperature now, which is awesome. So we call it the Linux, or you're wanting to call it the Linux Syndicate, and you're wanting to put all 3 shows into one chat group?
Yes.
Okay. And you think that will bring more interaction with listeners?
Well, for me, as somebody who is in those 3 shows, if I want to share something of interest, I have to share it in 3 different places.
Okay.
So I mean, they
Technically
if they
4.
were totally, which ones are in?
Well, the Telegram. I mean, we do get interaction on the
I'm
Telegram.
I'm not talking
Telegram,
about
what's
the
that then?
I'm not talking about Pornhub. Whatever it's called, you know, it's
Why?
Telegram.
Yeah, why?
Right. But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that we do get interaction with listeners on Telegram as well.
No, I'm talking about the 3 different podcasts. Not the
And
actual...
I'm saying that our listeners are also on Telegram.
Yeah, well, so then you'd create one feed, which well, then you'd maybe have a matrix. You may have a Telegram. This is just a suggestion. I mean, I just thought, because myself, I found that the conversation is very limited in the 3 different groups. And then anyway, if you've got limited conversation in 3 groups, the best way to improve on that is to bring all 3 groups together.
Okay.
Was that point?
So to execute on this, it seems like the easiest way would be to change the name of the Telegram group to the Linux Syndicate, and then that will just be the one-stop shop for all 3 shows to talk. And then we can start advertising that Telegram group on the other 2 shows. And then I guess the same could be done on Discord.
Yeah, I mean, the Discord group, we just have to talk to the owner of the Discord group and get him to change the name from mintCast to the Syndicate, Linux Syndicate.
I think we should take some time, like, letting people know that's going to happen first, though.
Okay.
Because
I think
it's,
And then
Or you could just call the Linux Mint the master one, like what the late night Linux guys do.
Well-
the one show has that name, and that's kind of the name of the whole group.
well,
next-
The
okay.
Mintcast.
My next question would then be, are you going to shut down the other 2 channels?
I suppose that we would have to eventually, wouldn't we?
Did we want to bring in the Atypical Doctor?
I didn't even consider that.
Stupid
I
question
mean-
from a listener. Another question is how the channels should be structured.
Well, because and I know Charlie hates Discord. I don't think there is a mechanism to take Discord away, though.
I've created a Mattermost server in case we all wanted a place to chat, but I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of listeners to be on there, and that would put it onto my hardware.
Yeah.
I think staying with Discord is fine, but once you bring people together in conversation, and once you get that conversation going, this is the whole thing. It's not just because we want to just we don't want to maintain 3. So we've got to get that conversation going.
I think it would be cool to combine the 3 shows Discord servers into one.
I want
Yeah.
to chat with people about Linux. I mean, I live in a place where Linux is not, that's it could be garden fertilizer. People have got no comprehension. So when I come on here, I'm talking about Linux. It's great.
I think
but-
Dale can agree with me. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure the entire reason that I got into podcasting was to talk to people that like to talk about Linux, because
Yeah.
there aren't any around.
Ante, yes, that's what I feel as well. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm here now, because there's nobody. I can't find anybody.
Now, I
Once
do
I
have
mention
truck
the word
drivers running
computer,
Linux, And that
Yeah, but you put them on Linux and then let them go.
the fact that you can do that speaks volumes, though. The fact that you can give, in this day and age, you can give a Linux box to somebody who knows jack shit about technology and maybe even hates it. You can give that to them and they can get on with it for years. I think that says something.
Yeah, I told you, my 82-year-old dad's on Linux
Yes.
Mint. It's perfectly fine. He doesn't have any questions, any complaint. It just works.
Yeah.
There is. I mean,
Christ,
I asked AI how many people are using Linux Mint, and they said about 1.5 to 5 million people. And I
quite
thought
a
this
gap.
is what brought it all about. Yeah, I mean it is. I mean they said there's no official thing, but
You gotta
I'm like,
love those certain
I'm
numbers.
thinking like,
Hallucinations.
let's say if there's only a tenth of 1 point, that's 150,000. Why abide when I post something on one of the chats? It's like crickets. Not even.
Well, our
not
chats
even
just
a
don't have
like.
that many people in them. When you, even if we
Why
combine
lie?
the
That's
3 or
right.
4 of them, it's not going to really. I think the change
But at
you're
least we
looking
can
for is
all
going to be
promote the
minimal.
same thing. I know it's not going to help overnight, but at least we can all push on the one conversation. You know,
I think it would
I
be
wanna talk,
frictionless,
right?
too, because
I'm in some of the Jupiter broadcasting chats, and those guys don't chat either.
No, but they even on the self-hosting one, there's like conversations going on continually on that, and they don't even have that podcast anymore. So you know, it's just it'd be nice to get more conversation going, and when you start with 3 separate conversations, you're not going to. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm the new boy here, but I am giving my perspective as somebody who has listened for many years, and that's what I see. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But I'm just sharing my thoughts and how I feel after a very short time of being part of this.
No, your idea is sound. I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal or make that much of a difference. So I don't care if you combine the chats. It's fine by me. I'm just saying it's not going to make this marginal difference.
It's like, for example, you were on the Linux cast, which was you were on their lug, which is something else.
Right.
But the Linux cast, they do their show, which I get them in the feed, and then they cut it down to be them on the, and then they put it up on the main feed. So I always get them. We don't get that. I mean, I've never seen the mintCast appear on my feed.
Why?
Every week. Nor the Linux Saloon, never. As a
You don't
live
get a-
viewing, it never appears.
You don't
Mine
get a
shows up on
notification.
my every time.
Yeah, you don't get a
Not-
notification that it's about to go live.
I get a notification it's going to go live, yes, but afterwards, if I'm not there to do it, it doesn't come up in my feed showing me this is one of the programs that I need to watch.
I wonder if
It shows
that's
up
a
on
YouTube
SmartTube for me. I can tell you that every time. As soon as the show, even while the show's going, or as soon as it's over afterwards, sometimes I watch it. Right on my SmartTube.
it's
How
not
many
getting
viewers
are
served
the
in the
average?
algorithm, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
It comes up
because
as being like
we
it's
don't get
going to
enough
be on.
viewers. We don't get enough viewers on YouTube for it to start suggesting us to other people.
I mean, are you
well,
subscribed? I mean, if you're subscribed, you should come up.
Subscribe with notifications. It's gonna pop up in your shit every
Well,
time.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing is,
Just
like,
at the
if I
time of the
miss,
live viewing.
but if I
comes up
miss
as
the
the-
live viewing, then it's still in my notifications the next
Exactly.
day or 2
Mine
days
too.
from now.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I think
how I
that's
know
a
that it
separate
happened and I
problem,
missed
though.
it.
It's a separate problem from having the show like getting served to people that are going down the rabbit hole with Linux shows.
I think the issue here is you think our goal is for us to have more listeners. That's a byproduct of us getting on here and getting to talk about what we want to talk about, and then occasionally having other people be like, yeah, that's awesome. If we
Well,
have
I
50
mean-
listeners this week and 200 listeners next week, I'm still going to be sitting down the next week and doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, so you're looking at it from a host's interaction perspective, and Charlie's talking more about a community aspect, like having a community of engaged people that aren't even necessarily have to be listeners. They're just people who are in this chat because they get quality feedback or they get people that'll answer them. Because I agree, you go into a chat and there's maybe sometimes hundreds of people just sitting in there idling, and you ask a question and it's like nothing, like whiff, and you're like, oh, okay, well, and then maybe that's just the wrong time of day or something, and then maybe you give it another try, and if you still don't get any kind of response, then the likelihood is you're never going to come back there.
Yeah,
So,
okay. But let me point something else out there. I do understand what you're saying there, but
Okay.
and I know I'm being the negative Nancy here, so just deal with it.
I
The
love that term.
then the question is the chat gonna be the support forum, or
Exactly.
is the Linux Mint forum for that?
Right there. We are
Yeah, that's
not
what I
a
was about to
support
just
forum.
say. Yeah.
And there's not always going to be one of us that knows the answer, or even if we do, maybe we don't have the time to sit
Oh my
down and
gosh.
explain the basics to people. And
I've got it.
sometimes you can get listeners to jump in and help out, but you can't force that interaction.
Guys, I think I figured it out. We put an AI bot that's always there, ready to help them.
Everyone
People
gets
will love
so everyone gets the wrong answers every time.
That's
Perfect.
right. See, you're consistently wrong all the time.
I'm
can
just
shit
looking
post
for
them,
that,
you know?
you're representing the Linux Mint. There's 1.5 million people all using Linux Mint. People tune into the mintCast, for example, as one of them, to thinking that this is related to Mint, and it's and it would be nice that there is a place for them to go to talk about. I mean, there is the Linux Mint on Matrix, which is actually quite nice. Actually, I don't mind Matrix. It's a continuous conversation. It's a time that we need. It's not just you're not there to support. It's just to have a conversation. If not, why have the whole distro? Why have the Discord in the first place? Why even mention it if there's going to be no conversation?
Because sometimes you do have the time and the ability to jump in on a conversation. But the people that are going to get upset that you're, not helping them fix their graphics issue on some random hardware that you've never heard of before.
I don't see that as the problem. I mean, I do see that people will come and then they'll think they're going to have a conversation on mintCast distro, and then there's nobody. It's crickets. That is a negative, and which I don't like, which I had myself,
But once again, even though we have like 4,000 listeners, we do on average, if I remember correctly, when I was looking at archive.org, we have about 4,000 listeners each week.
Maybe not after tonight.
Huh?
Maybe not after tonight.
Oh no, they've all heard me say this before if they've been listening for a long time. That I do this because I like talking about this stuff, and them enjoying it is a byproduct. If they enjoy it, great. I love that.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it for them.
No, I know, and I understand that, and that is really nice. Is that we have the conversation. I mean, I'm not here I'm here because I have nobody else to talk to about Linux, which is.
Right.
But I still think that there is. I still think we have. It would be nice to offer people who, the 2 points. One being offer the people who don't want to listen to a 2.5 hour conversation to have get the snippets of it in one recording, and also there is a place for us to all chat, because there is so many of these Discord servers or places where the hosts are not to be seen. I mean, I am a subscriber to the Linux Experiment. I mean, I went in the Discord server there, even though I'm a paid customer. You never see him there at all.
No.
So
Okay. Let me agree with you on
It's lovely
something.
to have people there to talk.
Let me agree with you. It is nice to have people to talk to, and if we had more of our listeners that were actually on the Discord and conversing with each other, that would be a great thing. It used to be that way with the Telegram. I don't know what actually happened there. Also, the snippets and the shorts and the curated segments where you take the different segments and you split it up and you release those as partial shows or whatever. That's also another really great thing that I have seen on other podcasts and I have enjoyed. But I'm
It's a
not going.
good idea, but someone has to do the work in the end for it to happen.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
up for
going.
it. I am up for it.
If, like I said, if you want to do that, we are
My
quite
rates are
willing.
very cheap. I don't charge that much.
Like I said, I'm not requiring anyone to do that because I don't have the time to dedicate to myself. If you want to, I am down with that. I am perfectly. I will enable that all day long, but I just don't. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
I'm just going to throw this out.
Because
Go ahead, Charlie.
this is going. I don't know if this is going to go out live. I guess we are live.
It's already live.
It's like,
Yeah.
are we all live? Okay, so
Making sausage, brother. Come on, we're good.
Yeah. It's coming up again. This is bloody smoke everywhere. I'm happy to do anything because I feel that this is my way of giving back. I can't code. I'm terrible at writing, and I really want to give something back to the Linux community. And this is for me to be able to do this would be a marvelous way of giving back to Linux. So
I think it's also a fascinating thing to learn how to do. If you haven't done audio production, audio editing, it's actually really cool, especially if you get into like a digital audio workstation or, go deeper with Audacity.
Even just the little bits that I've done for mine.
It's really fun. I mean, it can be a lot of fun. It really can. And there's so many tools and so many tutorials and so many different ways of doing stuff. And I ended up on a product called Reaper, which is a really cool tool. And I mean,
it was a fork, wasn't it, of Audacity?
Reaper's good, yeah. I've heard of it.
No. Reaper's its own thing.
Okay. No, it's a DAW by the guy
and it's
used to do Winamp.
Yeah, it's a DAW and it's super lightweight. It's like very customizable. You can use it for music production. The reason I liked it is because a lot of DAWs are built around music production instead of voice production. And there's a distinct difference there because all the music stuff has like meters and like beats per minute. And like there's a lot to do with like music specifically and less to do with like the voice itself. And the nice thing about Reaper is you can tear all that out and then make it into like a voiceover machine. So anyway, what I would love, and I just want to throw this out there, is the engagement in a community, the engagement in Telegram, the engagement in whatever platform is great. And if you can foster that, I've never found the secret. I've been dealing with communities for 30 years. And I have no idea what makes ones popular versus not popular. I mean, yes, of course you can foster them. You can have people, on standby to like answer. I mean, there are ways to make it more interactive, but to make it popular and to make it stick, I don't know what that is. But the thing I would love to see, if we have 4,000 users, why in the hell won't people write into the show? Why don't we get, every show, why aren't there 10 people that have written to us to say, here's something you said that I think you're an idiot, or here's something you forgot, or here's a new thing you haven't heard of, or, there's so many different things to talk about.
You have to remember that
why in the hell?
4,000 downloads is not 4,000 listeners.
Even if we had 400, the point being, why can't we get one?
Well,
so that's kind of my only thing is like and this is a very common thing on any of the podcasts I've ever been on, whether they were 4,000 or 20,000, it doesn't matter. And
it's true.
It's just getting audiences to engage and, soliciting feedback and getting people to, because I think that's what builds a lot of community, right? And we try to do that here with having people come on to Discord and join in, and we've done well with bringing in new hosts and stuff like that. But just the idea of like the community's out there, we're speaking to them, and it's a completely one-way conversation 99% of the time. And I think that kind of bugs me, because I would love to hear anything. Tell us we're great. Tell us we suck. Tell us, whatever is on your mind. And why is it with 15 different ways for people to get in touch with us? Email, Telegram, Matrix, YouTube comments, like on and on and on, that people just don't ever engage with us. And that's really the thing that I think makes, to me,
Is it them or us? This is always the question.
well, I
I
don't
think
know.
every community is like that. Most people are lazy. They're just not going to engage. It's the same. Go to any IRC chat, like all the Linux channels on
Yeah.
Libera. There's 100 people or 50 people just idling that haven't talked in months. Why did
Right.
they're just there? They join.
I
They
understand,
auto connected and yeah.
And I don't
I
know
mean,
what they
there
get
are
out of
certain
that.
topics that people want to share. If you, which I wouldn't, you can use the spammy clickbait titles which get comments, or even conversations. I mean, you talk about one mention of politics and you'll get 150 people all commenting. But
Yeah, I don't want to rage bait people,
no,
know.
but you don't. No, you don't want to go down that road, because this is not what we want to be. But
we've gotten more interactions in some shows from our political views than we have from actually talking about Linux, which
Well, yeah.
yeah,
well, that's not what you want to have, though, is it? Really,
that's true. That's true. But we do have someone that emailed us recently, and we will be including that in the next show. Me and Bill did interact with them. I'm wondering. I know that in the past we've had some issues with the forwarding from mintCast to the rest of the team, and I know Bill went in and checked on that and made sure that it was functioning the way that it's supposed to. But in the end, it's me and Bill that are responding to people that are sending emails to us. So if you want to foster more of that conversation, then jump on there, jump on your email, and
I'm
interact
there.
with the
I'm
people that are
ready to go.
interacting with us.
Bill's having dinner, so he's not commenting.
I have a
Guys,
suggestion.
Sorry, guys, I've got to get going. But good conversation. I think it's good. We always reflect and try and improve. And as I said,
What would-
I'm
would
happy
you-
to help out
Just
on.
before you go, Magic. Before you go, what do you think?
No, I mean, I agree on helping out. I agree on the idea of maybe trying out a Linux syndicate so that we can, farm things out. And how do you get people engaged, mate? I wish I knew, and I teach. Do you know what I mean? It's always it's an ever-ending challenge. And I'm not sure what the answer is, but I mean, I think staying sedentary and stationary is not going to get you anywhere. So we can only try stuff, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, well,
Same opinion.
yeah. Anyway, as I said, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Take care.
Bye bye.
All right, see you, Majid.
Well, my excuse is for like feedback. Sometimes I'll forget because like Bill and I, we don't have a set schedule. It's pretty much we
You listen
work
and you move on.
8 to 12 hours from whenever we start. So if we start at 4 a.m., I'm done at noon, etc. Well, if I'm listening to something at 5 in the morning, by the time noon comes around, I completely forgot that I wanted to reply. And then the next time I hear the episode, which is a week later, then I remember, and then by the time I end my day again, poof, I forgot to reply again or send the email. So I'm thinking that could just be a life work balance too, is people think of something and then they forget and they think, well, it's been 2 weeks, so it's no longer relevant.
I have a suggestion. We kind of touched on this, but there are two very large communities that specifically focus on Linux Mint, and I don't know if there's ever been an effort to talk about the show without being spammy about it on the Linux Mint forum, which is huge, has a lot of people actively engaged specifically about this very distro that the show is named after. And I don't know if we've ever posted there or if it's allowed. And the same thing with their Discord, which I'm a member of, but I don't read it that much because it moves relatively quickly and it's a lot to keep up with. But Linux Mint has a lot of users. I mean, have we ever made an effort, assuming it was allowed, to post the show, or talk about the show there, where that's our community. If we were advertisers, that's our target market, 100%. You pay premium dollars to get their eyeballs.
I'm gonna point out a couple small things here. We actually have interacted with Clem. We've got letters from him. They've actually been the center point of our show at one point. It was our innards. We've also discussed with him on one occasion about trying to get the Mint box when it came out, just to see if we could test it and do things like that. But there was a whole lot of other issues, and that never came about because of it. But as far as I know, he's still a listener. So love you,
Hi,
Clem.
Yeah, because if you want to get people, more engaged who are specifically interested in Linux Mint, that's where they are. I mean, I posted, I'll talk about this on my next wanderings, but I posted such a technical question, and within 24 hours, I got an answer that helped me solve something that was driving me crazy for a long time. It's an incredible forum. I mean, old school forum, not a Discord. And the Discord's busy as well.
Yeah, I tend to be more of the forum based just because that's what I grew up, and started using. I'm sort of like the latecomer, like some of us are, to Discord. I mean, I've been on Telegram for probably 10, 12 years, something like that. I can't remember when. I wasn't really that active. I got more active when I heard that there was a mintCast Telegram group. So I've been on the mintCast Telegram group for at least 10 years or so. But I'm thinking a lot of that, the interaction, I think it has ebbs and flows because it's like learning about Linux or whatever the name of that one is, because I've been listening to that one for probably a good 10, 15 years.
What, LearnLinux.tv?
No, well, that's Jay LaCroix. I'm talking about the one how to use Linux and get work done. Larry Bushy and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but it's another podcast that's been going on since like 2008, 2010, somewhere in there. I mean, it's been on for a long time, and because of work-life balance, they may not record an episode for 2 months, and yet they seem to have feedback like every episode. But then there are ones where it's a very well-known podcast, but you don't get as much feedback. I mean, like I can see Distro Hoppers, we've probably have gotten maybe a dozen or so feedbacks over the past 5 years, but we've gotten more interaction on the Discord and the Telegram channels than we ever had with email.
Londoner confirms that the mintCast is linked from the Linux Mint website with a link on the page.
I think that right there, mintCast being the preeminent Linux Mint podcast, I think that's a responsibility we should take seriously.
Yeah,
I really
perhaps actually posting on the forum. Not that link. Probably nobody looks at it. It's part of the background. But maybe active. I know. Again, that's another thing that somebody has to volunteer for. But assuming it was allowed to actually be active on the forum.
Well, we do have a lot of listeners, and if they want to jump in and help, they can do that too. If they think other people could benefit from listening to this show, then by all means, help us promote. because we don't have a budget to commercialize this. So it's the listeners, the word of mouth, that really gets us out there.
I think that's one of the benefits of the kind of the umbrella concept is that we can start offering. If we was to bring in a Patreon, we can offer some like features, like you can get an edited version, or you can get if you want the full, because people, I mean, they're making it clear. I don't know if anybody else is watching the comments, but some people are adamant that they want the long form content, so I think there's different audiences. You got people that they just want to be able to listen to the show during their commute, 20 minutes and get the highlights, or they want to, or they're the kind of people that work from home and they want to be able to play it in the background and listen to the whole thing unedited. There's lots of different types of people that want to hear the show, and it might be worthwhile to have something to where we can create these different streams that people can take advantage of, and even offer that as paid content in addition to what we already have that we put out there. That's going to take the work of more people besides me, though.
Yeah, but you would probably get most of the benefit from anything monetary that came out, at least in the short term.
Well, I mean, that depends. If I'm the only one doing the work, I guess I can see the point in that. But
no, you're the only one that's actually putting money into it in the last couple of years. I mean, I've put money towards the website and everything else in the past when we were passing it all around, but you kind of took it over and just was like.
And how many times have you rebuilt your streaming boxes and stuff?
Exactly.
What, these servers?
Yeah.
You put money into it, so you would be the first to benefit if we did, any type of monetization. Now,
let's make it happen now then.
Huh?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, in the past, I've been kind of anti-monetization, specifically because I don't want to turn this into a job. This is a hobby. I'm not necessarily against it completely, but I still don't want to turn it into a job unless, I have to.
To get over that hump is very, very difficult. Ask anybody who tries to be a YouTuber, even some in the Linux space, like Matt, for example, at the Linux Cast. He's gone on a journey. He has a lot of subscribers, But to actually monetize that is very, very, very difficult.
I had to explain this to my kids and my daughter's boyfriend, that you don't just jump in and start making money on YouTube. I mean, even people that have been doing it for years don't do that. There's a complicated algorithm on how you make money on YouTube, and like the top 1% actually makes a living doing it.
Isn't it you get a couple of cents per ads that's shown or something like that? And to earn money, you have to show up some product.
You can't even monetize until after you have X number of people subscribed, and then you have to have X number of videos per week, and with X number of views. Otherwise, they cut off your monetization entirely, and then you have to stay away from certain subjects, or you can't say certain words, because then you'll be immediately demonetized, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't want to play their games.
It's really difficult. Huh?
I
Look
don't
what you
play
started,
YouTube
Charlie.
I wouldn't like to be reliant on YouTube. I mean, this is a horrendous thing. But there are people, there's people I was listening to another podcast, and the guy was never ever talking about monetization. And people were writing in, because I was in the forum, saying, God's sake, put up a Patreon, because we want to give, even if it's only $1, we want to give $1, and that is enough to be, just to keep it. And it built from there. Now he's he's like basically just doing it full time. But that's not the point. The point is that, you know, some people really want to give. I don't like people who, especially people, and this is a little bit against the mintCast, before you've even watched the video, it's like, give us the thumbs up. I don't like that. You know, I haven't seen your video. Maybe it's shit. I'm not going to give you a thumbs up until you've actually done your podcast. Then I might do the give you a thumbs up.
But that's because they want to game the YouTube algorithm, so it's get shown more and stuff like that.
I do have a Ko-fi, and people have donated to it, and I have mentioned every single one of them on the show and talked about what got purchased with the money, because it all goes towards, you know, various projects. Usually, even
That's at the end of the show,
later
though.
on, if those get sold, it goes into the mini rack. And I talk about the mini rack quite a lot on the show. So every bit that has come in has gone towards something for the show, or something for me to talk about.
But money is not. The thing is that, you know, there is people in open source are always embarrassed about talking about money anyway, because, you know, 99% of the people using open source are, oh no, maybe that's too high, maybe 75% are doing it because they don't want to pay for something, plus the benefit of not being spied on. It's open source, yada yada yada. But it's so it's very difficult to get monetized from any form of open source stuff, as we know from all the projects that have failed because they just can't keep going on with them unpaid. But, you know, if people want to give, you start very small and just let people give. But getting back to the original subject is that I think we have strength in numbers where if we joined the 3 podcasts together, and we would have we can do a little bit more, maybe even spend a little on advertising. I'm happy to invest. It doesn't cost too much money. Spend a little bit of money. Maybe it doesn't go anywhere, but maybe it will come back to us as being, you know, we can pop a little advert here. Listen to us. Listen to that.
We've done this before, so let me try it again. Let's put this to our listeners.
Yes, yeah, listeners is the most important.
Everybody out there, if you think that we should start a Patreon, send us an email, join our Discord, post a message on YouTube.
Oh, we've
will
already
read
asked
it.
this question.
Let us know.
People have said that they would. People have been very receptive to it, but and I don't want to throw Moss under the bus, but he you know what, his very obstinate opinion of Patreon has kind of put me off a little bit from it.
Past is the past.
Yeah.
You know, once, you know, the future now is a very different thing to the past. You know,
he said that there is an issue with Patreon and the amount of money that they take versus
Patreon. I'm not a big fan of Patreon either. You know,
so if there is another that you think would do better, then please suggest it, because we don't know them.
I'm not sure if Libera pays better or worse.
Yeah, LibrePay is good for one-time donations, but they don't have that sort of regular.
I don't have a problem with standing up a number of things, you know, because you want to go where they're at. I'm not going to ask somebody who already has an account on Patreon to go and set up an
account somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're asking them to give up their hard-earned money, you know, to help support a podcast. You know, it's not really. Yeah, Patreon takes some money, but they're providing some value there, to be sure, because you could, once you put your podcast on Patreon, that app, that whole ecosystem can be used independently. It can be used
and there's the bank fees and stuff, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, I mean,
it's certainly better than YouTube. YouTube, I mean, I like I said, I contribute to the Linux experiment, and I was there on that one, and basically he said it's not worth, you know, the whole YouTube thing, because I only give $1, you know, and plus fees. But I mean, I try to give $1 to as many as I possibly can, rather than one to everybody, but because they take so much money at the end of it, it's just not worth it for people on YouTube. Whereas Patreon, however much I dislike it because of the past history, it does give them a little bit more money at the end of the whole thing.
Well, then the next question becomes, do we want to start putting ads in the show?
No. Unless they're like
No. Butterkiss. I mean, we don't need Butterkiss. I love Butterkiss popcorn. No, we don't want ads at all. This is so good.
They ain't paying you a dime.
So I just rebuilt this Asus ROG laptop, the M16, with 16 gigs of RAM and an i9 processor. And ooh,
I love Asus, really.
Oh,
That's
the
so
Republic
good,
of
Asus.
Gamers line of laptops?
oh, it's awesome! Oh, you guys should see it.
I have one myself. It is my favorite machine.
Here it is, and look at what it's running.
Oh,
my
look at
God,
that.
Really?
I
how
love
well
the
it
colored
runs Linux
keyboard.
I have a completely different technical question I'd like to ask. Is the audio crackling a little bit? And don't say it's my headphones.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm not hearing any crackle. So unless it's coming from me, then it is your crappy headphones.
Why would it just be you? It's most.
If the sound were coming from me, I wouldn't necessarily hear it.
I'm not sure if
See
it's
what I'm
coming from me. Maybe.
So if there was a crackle and it was coming from me, I wouldn't necessarily hear it.
Did it
but
sound like
everybody
this?
else would. If you're the only one hearing the crackle, that means your headphones are shit.
It doesn't have to be the headphones. It might be my old laptop.
It might be the fact that you're using a wired headset.
Does it sound like crisps? Or you call them chips?
Chris,
No,
No,
I mean, there-
but no audio DAC.
It's not constant. It's just
Cables are good.
once in a like sometimes.
like every time I take a bite.
Are you using the 3.5 millimeter jack that is on the computer, or are you using an audio DAC?
Ooh, I bet I can guess this one.
I can't quite lift it far enough, but no, I'm plugged into 3.5 millimeter into a
USB
the
DAC of some
speakers
kind.
that are
Oh,
connected to my
speakers.
laptop have an input
that's
there.
hot garbage.
So that way I don't have to
Get a
reach
USB
around
DAC.
back behind. You know,
Get a USB external DAC. Let's see, I should have one.
It sounds crisp to me. Everything is really.
Yeah, everything sounds good to me too. But
I should
yeah, there you go.
compare.
Where'd
Something
Eric
like
go?
that. That is correct.
I'll have Eric send you. He's going to send it back to me. I'll have him send you that Focusrite that I sent him.
That's more fancy than I am. Well, parts of doing the show, I guess.
Yeah, no. Any one of those USB adapters, you know, even the cheap ones, actually adds quite a bit of quality to your sound, even with lower end headphones. So if you're going
What
to
is
use
it?
a 3. Any USB sound card or USB DAC or anything like
It's a
that is
digital
going to
audio
add quality.
converter.
Yeah, it's going to add quality over any of the connectors on speakers, or even the one on your microphone, or the one directly on your, like, that's even better. The Scarlett Solo.
oh, I see. He's holding something up.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's even better. But I'm just saying that even the cheap ones will add quite a bit of quality to your sound and prevent a lot of the issues that tend to come up if you're using the 3.5 millimeter jack that's like directly on your computer or on a set of surround sound speakers.
I don't really have the budget for
could you
that.
put a
one.
link,
I'm not that
perhaps?
professional.
I'll have Eric send. Eric is going to send back the 3rd gen that I gifted him because he wasn't using it anymore. I'll have him send it to you. This is a 4th gen.
Oh, is that? It's like.
Let me
Rick!
send you a link to just one of the cheap ones that I like to use.
Yeah, Jim, just send me your address and I'll send you the Focusrite.
Oh,
Just
there's
DM
Eric.
me in
Yeah,
Discord or something.
yeah. Give him your address. He'll send that to you. And that'll be $100 you can save.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
some of the
mean
gaming headsets have,
$14.99.
yeah, some of the gaming headsets they have a USB DAC that comes with them. I'm not sure about their quality if it's
That's usually, especially when it comes to microphones, if you're going to use the headset microphone, the USB one is always more quality than the 3.5 millimeter one. 99 times in 100.
The thing is with these solos is they'll just, you plug that in and then that just becomes your audio card. But then you have to plug your microphone in with the it probably came with a XLR cable. In fact, I know it does. You'll have to plug it in with that from then on out. But
And
Charlie,
you'll need an 1/8 inch.
Charlie, you're so misinformed.
It's one of these.
Oh yeah, you'll have to get an adapter for your headphones. I don't know why they do that, but every single one of these has got the bigger. Because most of the time, even the big headsets, they've got the smaller connector on them.
Yeah, and this you get something like some Audio-Technica or some like COS or something like that that are like studio headphones. Actually have the 1/4 inch jack on them. A lot of them are doing the 1/8 inch, was it 3.5 millimeter?
Actually, the Samsung has a built-in DAC. You plug in your headset directly to the bottom of that microphone, is how that's meant to work. And then you get the benefit of the direct monitoring from your microphone.
Do you have any interest in that Shure mic? Do you want to try that, Jim?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about what my setup is here. I've got my crappy headphones, as Joe calls them, and I've got.
I bet if you plug it into the bottom of the microphone.
Oh, sorry about that. I should not have pulled that out. But yeah, I've got it plugged into. Okay, my speakers have a circular button that sits on my desk, and I've got my headphones plugged into that, and that is then plugged into my laptop.
If that isn't causing crackle, I mean, if it's giving you a clean signal, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because all those pass-throughs and stuff like that, those jacks never really do a great job with isolating, radio waves and electrical frequencies and stuff. It's just, it's never going to be as clean as like with having a USB audio interface. But
Right.
No one's trying to push it on you. It's just whatever you're comfortable doing.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think how I would integrate, because like I'm not crackling for you guys, right? So my mic is working great. It's just that it sounds like sometimes, not all the time, but just sometimes some of your voices crackle.
Yeah, you should be
a
plugged
little
in
bit
the bottom of that
electronically.
mic. That mic should be your
plug it
input
in
and your
right
output.
here, like
the other thing you can do,
Yeah.
if you want,
Plug it into that.
you don't have to get the Focusrite, like have a whole full-blown solution. I have a little. I think I paid $8 for it. It's a little USB audio device with a
I
mic
just dropped the
in
link for one.
and the audio out,
Yeah, Joe
and you
shared
just
the
plug
link.
it into a USB. Yeah, you just plug it into a USB port wherever, and literally you plug your headphones into that. You'll bypass all of that nonsense.
But again, that
Speakers,
mic you've got
right.
has got that built in. You just plug your headphone into the bottom of that mic.
Okay. Yeah, right. I'll try that. I never did that. I'll try that first.
But then
Plug
you
it
got
right
to
at the bottom of
change,
here.
get into your settings and change your output to the,
Right. The Q2U.
yeah,
Okay. That's worth trying first.
yeah. Because that's basically the same concept as using a USB, something like Joe shared here, or even the big thing, like putting a Focusrite in. It's just more simplified.
Okay.
And then those buttons at the bottom are volume. Those buttons are volume for the headset once you get it plugged in.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good idea. I never thought about that.
And then you'll get rid of all the latency and everything. Well, guys.
Okay.
We've been on here chatting for a while.
Yeah.
So can we move forward with this, or?
I'm down.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the things about the show is it's, always changing. It is nothing like it was when I first got on here, so we make a change. I either deal with it or I leave, right?
Well, we don't want anybody to leave, but we also...
It happens.
It does. I think, when you get good people that really care about the show, though, you want to try to do what you can to hold on to them. And Joe, you're about...
I am perfectly fine with this change. I do not have an issue with it. Yeah, I didn't mean to make it sound that way. I'm not actually threatening to leave or anything. I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just good at being an ass. So
Which comes naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I come by it naturally. You should meet my dad. But yeah, we can do this. I don't mind. If you want to make changes to the Discord, I'm fine with that too. Obviously, like you said, we'll do that in the future after we see how things are going. But I am the owner on that. I can make whatever changes you need.
Those changes need to come slow.
Yep.
Because...
I agree. Or we need to start a new Discord and then just, point everybody to it from this Discord.
Oh, boy. I think it would be easier just to turn the one we've already got. I think it would be easier to get everybody from the other shows over onto mintCast one, just because it's been around orders of magnitude longer than...
Do you want to pull 3 Fat Truckers in?
I don't really own 3 Fat Truckers anymore. Ever since
That's right.
Ever since I threw my little tantrum and left the show and then came back, Dave kind of took over a lot of the administration on that show, which I'm happy about.
Isn't it a totally different conversation?
That
like urinating on the
make
back
sense.
wheel. I mean, that's not really maybe it's not the.
If we're starting an umbrella, then you stop all the rain.
Well, it does have Linux in the name, and 3FT has got nothing to do with Linux. And honestly, I don't want to mix that energy, because there are things that are said on that show that I don't necessarily agree with, and I'm not always proud of it. But that's life.
If it wasn't for
if there is, for example, like the Wanderings. I know that's some people who listen in love it to bits, and some people don't. So maybe that deserves its own separate podcast.
Linux
It basically
Wanderers.
has its own separate podcast at this point because it's every other show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's interesting to be a separate thing. This is the beauty of having not under the the mintCast umbrella. Maybe it's better to be it's a separate thing, because I know myself I like the Wanderings, but if I was just listening about Mint, then I might be wondering what the hell's going on,
Then, well, honestly, we don't talk about Mint every show, even when we're doing regular innards and things, because that's entirely too narrow of a focus.
Yeah, Mint itself.
It's the monthly news.
But when you're under an umbrella, then you can divide things into different sections with equal. It's just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there to see if it sticks. The whole thing is just to throw it out, and nothing is to say I demand this. It's a case of, what do you think? This is it. If you don't like it, you don't do it. If you like it, we do it. That's not. you don't share. The trouble is, people don't share their new ideas, so things don't move forward.
Yeah.
But I think what we have now is a forum where we can talk about new ideas, and if everybody says no, that's you're talking out your posterior, then that's fine, that's okay. Then we move on in the same direction. But there may be certain. The worst thing is when nobody dares to share it because they're always shot down. And the most important thing is to be able to share your ideas, even if they are everybody says, oh no, I don't agree, but that's great. Okay, if you don't agree, then we don't go forward.
No, I actually like the wanderings. That gives a bit of personality. Otherwise, it's just people reading news from a website.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
we
mind.
fixed that too.
I would be willing to have, if I had help with editing and stuff, I wouldn't mind doing a Wanderings episode every weekend. Just because.
Wanderings is the best part of the show, bar none,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And but I don't. I think we could like detach it from the mint part because it's a much wider concept. You know, I think it could have its own. I think it could have its own complete personality. Just Linux wanderings.
This is what I think as well, because I've been listening for many years, and I really, if I tune into a podcast. And I want, let's say I'm tuning into cars about fixing cars, and they're talking about beauty tips, how to look beautiful in your car. I'm going to think, well, maybe that's not the same conversation, but there may be a huge amount of people who want to hear about those beauty tips, which is exactly what the situation is here. I mean, I like the wanderings, but I know that people I've spoken to say, well, that's nothing to do with Linux, so I don't listen because it's too many wanderings. But so they have that chance to do it. So maybe the wanderings could be placed as a completely separate.
I know
What would remain
got enough
of the
content.
main show then?
Joe's got enough content to do
Conversation
every
about
week.
Linux.
We could make a weekly show out of that.
You
Really?
would just talk once a month about Linux Mint. At least the people who tune in to listen to. If I tune into a podcast and it's called mintCast, what do you think I'm gonna? What do you think I'm gonna?
Yeah,
think
but
it's
the
about?
mintCast isn't really about Linux Mint specifically. There's not enough
You
to
know
talk
that.
about.
It's in the
Plus-
opening. It's for all users of Linux.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with wanderings.
Yes, it is. Wanderings, most of it is about Linux and technology
no.
and computers. We do talk about Android
I do talk
phones
about
and some
hardware.
other things sometimes, but
Yeah, we do talk about,
Some people talk
sometimes
about
working on
TV shows
hardware.
they're watching.
yeah, but that's
But
just for 5 minutes at the end. It's mostly
No,
Linux,
it's-
computers.
You haven't listened to the show then, because a lot of it goes on. But
I'm on it. I
email
know
and
what I
that.
talk about. It's
Yeah, but I mean,
almost all-
you do. I have to say, Jim, you are a little bit more focused on the Linux side, but a lot of people, they talk. It's various conversations. But if you're advertising something, like you open a tin of spam, I know spam. Okay, you open a tin of fish, and you get
We have spam here.
ham. And do you have spam in the?
Yeah.
We have all of the
Okay.
spam here.
Yeah, we got the Hormel spam.
Yeah,
got
but
the bacon flavor,
everyone's
the
gonna be
turkey.
interested about different things. For example, me is playing around with
Well, that's the whole
3D
thing is-
printers. So, like Joe talking about 3D printers, but I don't really care about someone's kid's broken
So-
iPad. No, I'm just
Charlie,
rationalizing.
I love the printing thing. You see, I like that, but I know a lot of people don't want. To
I know,
hear
but you
about-
can't. We have half a dozen hosts. They're all going to talk about slightly different things. Joe tends and Bill tend to talk about hardware. I talk about software and problems I'm solving. Joe will talk about 3D printing. I mean, they're all kind of related under the computers, Linux, or technology
Eric.
banner. For the most part, you can't divide the show up into every little thing.
Well,
I agree.
Does anyone think this sounds familiar to about a year ago, whenever I was saying the same exact thing?
Oh, absolutely. But you're not the first
and
one.
2 years before that, when Norbert
Yeah.
was saying the exact same
Exactly.
thing.
So this is not a new. This is so the one thing we did do.
I shouldn't cut a show that fits every person.
Right, you're not exactly. It's not going to happen. And I've made peace with the Wanderings. Right, I've just because it's exactly
the thing
that
is
point.
what you advertise on the tin is what you should give. So if you
Charlie,
call yourself
I literally
Linux,
said the same thing. I was saying, why isn't there more content on Mint? We should be doing Mint
And
front
we've
and center.
beaten it
It's
out
called
of
the
him, so we'll
mintCast,
beat it out of you.
But
Yeah, don't worry.
however,
They'll beat it out of
there
you.
is a
It can't
place.
be
If we have the Linux Syndicate, we can talk about many things, and like we can have the Wanderings as a separate show, which I would absolutely love to listen to. But when I'm in the Linux mood,
What's going to remain on the main show then? If you take the Wanderings out, it's like that's the
We go
best
back to
part
news
of
and topics.
What do you mean?
And
Take out?
innards.
Linux is the most important thing. You know what? If you take it out, I mean, what? Like saying
The Wanderings are Linux related. All right.
No, we're not saying take it away. We're saying give it its own thing. We're saying
Okay.
maybe.
Well, then
we
you
can-
tell me what remains on the Linux Mint. Once a month, we talk about
Who
what
knows?
the
We've had
updates
to.
are.
We've worked around the Wanderings so many times because that was one of the things. No matter what you do, you don't fuck with the Wanderings. That's been kind of the mantra that we've gone with. Whereas now, if we can not get rid of it but just detach it, we can expand
Well, that'd be
upon the
brilliant.
Linux side of it, the completely Linux side of it.
There's so many things I've listened to it. I mean, you think, well, I can't talk about it because it's a Linux podcast, but there's so many things related to that you could do. I mean, like
Let me
Joe's,
ask
like
you a
Joe's,
question. I also do a lot of talking about networking, but that's not specific to Linux.
it's not Linux, but it's.
That's not Linux. So do we cut that out?
Well, that would be that would be better in a Wanderings.
No, I've done deep dives on to different things that you can do with like OpenWRT, which
I love it because I've got it there and I'm not even doing anything with it at the moment. It's sat in the corner, my bloody.
That's
should we
what I
cut that
mean,
out?
though. We
I
can
mean,
go
it's not
back to
mid.
talking about a topic, like doing, like right now,
Well,
there's this big push about making all the routers illegal in the United States. Okay, what the hell am I going to do? That's something that we could do a deep
That's a
dive
news.
on.
I will gladly do an innards on that if you want me to do an innards on
That's
that.
what I'm saying. And if
If you want to do a skip show and we do an innards, I will do an innards. The reason we stopped
That's
doing
not
innards is
Linux,
because we
though,
run
is
out
it?
of topics. But
That's
my
not
whole
Linux.
point, it's
Is
not
that
Linux.
Linux?
it's Linux
Yeah, but that's the
adjacent.
whole point. Is that
It's Linux adjacent.
Are we going to have 10 shows? Let's make Innards its own show,
But the thing is,
Wandering
if
its
you-
own show, Mint its own show.
Networking its own
No,
I think we've got enough hosts. If you consolidate
I want
and
my own show.
if everybody's brought under the one umbrella, everybody can participate in every show, and you don't have to show up to every single one of them because you've got enough people to make a show. If we made that Wandering, if we have enough people to show up and make a show, and then we have enough people to do the editing and the publishing and all of that stuff too, then it doesn't matter what we do. You show up to the thing that you can show up for. You show up to the thing that you have something to talk about for. If you ain't got nothing, like I can tell already that Charles does not like to participate in the Wanderings. And people are like that. That's fine. Some people are very private people. They don't like to talk about what they're doing in their life. Then there's no point in him being there for that. He might be.
is the big guy?
let's just call it Linux Wanderings. There you go. It's its own show. That to me, that's the #1 rated show on the network. I mean, in my opinion.
That's what I've been saying. I wouldn't have a problem with having an episode of that every week.
I think that it should be separated. I mean, everything like in life, if you walk into a shop that advertises X, Y, and Z, and you you're walking around, you get everything but that. You're like, Look, when you walk in, if you tune in and you let's get back to the original. But if you tune into Wanderings, I mean, if I'm not, sometimes I'm not in the mood for. All I want is to hear all I want to do is hear Linux. So I want to choose.
But Wanderings is
Sometimes-
Linux mostly.
No,
If
it's
you'd have
not.
been
yeah.
here when
I don't want to argument, but most of the time I've been listening to it, it goes off into every tangent, which is beautiful. However, sometimes I'm not in the mood for that. I want to hear about Linux. I've tuned into a Linux podcast. It says Linux on the tin. Now it's talking about X, Y, and Z, which is totally different, which is lovely. But sometimes I don't want to hear it. So, I mean, I love the printer session that because I'm even thinking of buying a printer now after Joe's explanation of it. But sometimes I didn't want to hear it. Sometimes I didn't want to hear it. I thought, he's talking about bloody printers. This is a Linux show. Why is it? But now I'm like, my heart's going, I have to buy a printer. I might have to go back in some of the sessions and listen to Joe's explanations. But that I'm one of the few.
To be fair, I'm the same exact way. No, you're good. I feel all the things you're expressing right now, I vehemently expressed myself a year or so ago with the same emphatic tone, the same.
vehemently.
I'm not kidding you. Like, this is literally the exact same conversation because I feel the same way. I don't care about the fact that you took your mail to your neighbor or whatever the hell else you're telling me about that has nothing to do with Linux, because that's what I'm here for. But I've also realized that lots of other people do like it, and especially the hosts that want to say those things.
We are split down the middle on that. We really are.
So I have just started fast forwarding. When someone's talking about something I can care less about, then I just fast forward. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but that's
And-
not the solution, you see, you know.
When Joe says thermal paste,
see-
my thumb's on the fast forward button.
No, that's the thing. That's not true because
but it's not the solution. It's like let me
Okay,
find a better
well,
analogy.
you keep chewing on it, and you let me know if you come up with one, because I'll be damned if I have.
Because you
I
are
have to
right.
go,
That's the whole
fellas.
thing.
Oh, you're going to have to
my-
excuse me.
you're
This
my
is
guru.
called thermal grease.
Oh,
What? What's
All right,
that?
this
for?
is a lot of food for
Grease.
thought. We have a
That's
lot to think
terrible.
about.
That means it won't
Good
harden.
Lord.
This
Okay.
is
You know what?
Bye-bye.
I'm more of a thermal pad kind of guy.
Those
Sometimes
are
the thermal pads
garbage.
just won't do the job.
I'm one down.
It's right. You got
Oh,
one
he
to
was
leave.
serious. He told you, Joe. You bring up
Well,
thermal
it is
paste
getting
and
late.
he's out of here.
It is getting late. Well, okay.
Hey, like, it's 10 past. You guys, it's 10 past. It's 10 o'clock here. At 10 p.m. here in the UK.
I think that was just an excuse.
You
to-
just burned
to
up
go.
your whole Saturday sitting here talking to us.
No,
It's
and,
11.
and also, Charlie, to your point, bringing things up. So, the other thing that I actually did get traction on and has changed fundamentally how the show operates is it used to be, and I'm sure you remember, we would have long form articles pasted into the show notes.
Oh my God.
And then we would sit there and try to pretend like we were newscasters and do the most awful job of reading a news article that was painful
still
to
have
do and
nightmares
painful
about
to
that.
listen to.
That was
And we
terrible.
just said, we're done doing that. We're done doing that.
That was terrible. You used to read from the
Yes.
and like it was, and I was sit there thinking, I can
Yeah.
read it myself.
There you
I
go.
want to hear
That was
your
my-
opinions. I want to hear what you think of it.
Until me and Majid and Eric went and bought a Toyota pickup truck with a machine gun mounted on the back of it and staged a coup and said, "Look,
I
we
can
can't
read-
do this anymore."
I can read newspapers. I mean, I can put
Well, and-
I can put a thing of it. I can put read aloud on. But I want to know your opinion.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and that was my point too. They're not listening. They could go and read it for themselves. Like they're listening to us because we have an opinion on it. But that was a very deep-seated, old guard. Certain people liked it to be that way, and because we deviated, it became a real problem. And that's the problem: is when you make a change, and we talked about this with other things earlier on. When you make a change, you're bound to alienate certain people, and it is just the nature of progress. And that's just how. Oh my God! I thought we got rid of him.
Oh, Magic's back.
So did you? But the
With
thing
your
is,
hair.
I decided to have a not listen, just to see if you guys are still going. I'm like, shit, 2 hours and you're still going. What the hell are you guys talking about? So then I start listening on, and I'm kind of like, yes, we have done this before. Okay, I just wanted to give my 2 cents, right, or 2 pence, or €2 or whatever
Please, bring it
that we're
on.
using. Yeah.
£2
Okay.
worth.
I'm just going to give my experience. I came on, and I saw the way things were being done. I wasn't a fan, but I thought that is the way that everybody wanted to do them. So we know that whether it's the ridiculous talking all through the news notes, having wanderings that talk about X, Y, and Z, and I just kind of went, okay, well, this is what the show is, so that's what I'll do. And if it's one thing I've learned over the bloody hell 3 years I've been on the show, communication is key. Because I was doing the reading long form news because I thought that's what everybody else wanted to do, and then before you realize it, nobody wants to do it. It was nobody's idea.
Well, a couple
and everybody
people
just
wanted
kind
to.
of just thought, huh?
A couple people wanted to.
Okay,
But-
fine, all right. But shall we say a quorum of us didn't?
Yeah.
Right. Similarly, the Wanderings. If guys remember how the Wanderings as a concept started, it was Rob and Scott often talking about the Mumble server and often talking about how they installed Linux on this machine or that machine, and it kind of grew from there and there. And again, I do the Wanderings because I thought it's just what you're supposed to do. I'm happy not to do any Wanderings. I mean, I'd be a bit. Probably because I'm on OTC and I can ask any other kind of questions or discuss what I've been up to on that show. So if that's the case, I'm happy to not do that.
Now, I'm like Eric. I've come to terms with the Wanderings, and I've not only that, I've come to realize that not only the hosts but the listeners are split down the middle with the Wanderings. So I honestly believe you get rid of those Wanderings, we're going to lose some listeners too.
So this is where, sorry, just one last point. So this is why I was thinking, and I've kind of put it in the chat, but if you think about it, this is exactly the trajectory that Late Night Linux did. Late Night Linux started off as a 45-minute, almost 1 hour podcast, and they would have sections on discoveries, sections on the news, this, that, and the other. And then as time has gone on, partly because they're making money from it, especially Ressington, because that is his job, right? They were able to, okay, let's farm these things out. And now you have a 20 minutes, Linux After Dark, where, what Linux distro can we do on a £50 computer, for example, as a challenge? And then they'll have Late Night Linux when they're talking about the news. And they'll have Linux Dev Time, where they'll go into something that is Linux adjacent, as you were saying, whether it's networking or this, that, and the other. And Linux Matters, I know Linux Matters has recently left, but Linux Matters started off with, this is what I have been up to, i.e. wandering, right? So now, I can completely understand that, we're doing this. I mean, it's hard enough us getting on with the audio editing and the publishing and this, that, and the other with the shows that we do. And if we were to start increasing that into 5, 6 shows, I mean, who got time for that? We've all got proper jobs. None of us are making any money out of this, and we're enjoying it. So I completely understand if people will be like, well, I don't want to go that far because that's a lot of work. But if people want to say, okay, fine, we will take this thing out of the show and make it its own thing. Maybe make the Roundtable the one. That was one of the things we said last year, actually, was why don't we make the Roundtables the Wandering? Talk about what we've been up to.
That was an idea.
Then
we tried that and it did not work.
Yeah, because not everybody shows up to the Roundtable, so.
And I'm not going to spend an hour and a half talking to myself.
Well, and I never could figure out how we could keep the Roundtable. In my mind, I'm like, okay, Roundtable needs to be this thing like Linux Saloon where anybody can show up and just talk.
Yeah.
That needs to not get messed with.
still
know.
be able to talk about the wanderings.
Yeah, no, that
while
would
we're
be,
doing that.
that would be difficult.
So I mean, in one sense, having just rubbished the Unix philosophy in Linux OTC, could we employ a bit of that? Do one thing well? Do we say, okay, instead of trying to do all these different things, should we concentrate on Linux news mainly, and then and Linux innards as a separate thing? These are just. I mean, Eric, I remember the conversation last year, and I was wholeheartedly agreeing with you, and in fact, everybody was agreeing. It was just how we moved forward was the only issue. I think everybody diagnosed the problems and diagnose the issues. It was just where to
Yeah.
go from there. And as I said, there is a bit of like entropy where like, okay, we're going to make this a tight 45-minute show. And we did about twice. And then after that, it's back
It has
to
been
half
better.
health again.
Materially, if you look at the show and you go back and you listen to prior to that, and I think it does come down wholly to not reading the stupid stories. I mean, that is fundamentally the shift we made that I feel
I
made it better.
enjoy that we have conversations around the topics.
Yes.
We hit the
Exactly,
highlights.
and that's
we
exactly
cover-
what you want. That's what everybody wants. So this is my point about how we all wanted it, but we weren't sure, and we just thought this is the way it was done, and so we didn't communicate. This is my point about if we communicate, we all actually come up with, come up
Nobody
with a
cares
more
about the
collaborative
actual
idea.
story. They can all read the story themselves.
Right.
The thing is that they want to hear the opinions, and they can say, "Oh yeah, I think Bill was right there." Oh no, Eric made a really good point, and that's what even with politics. You want to hear about these things because I don't know. I can read an article and I can say, okay, I believe it, but I don't know. I want to be able to read it, and Eric says, well, you look at it that way, and I'm like, oh my God.
There's a lot of news I see in the
like
Linux ecosystem where I'm not really sure how is that going to, what Narcon effect is that going to have on the wider system, and then I hear, just hearing the news doesn't really bring it together until you hear somebody that's looking at it from a different perspective, and well, that's going to cause these things to happen and that thing to happen. Oh, well, I didn't even consider that, so.
Well, and it's important that we all have, I mean, you can't force it, but we have different perspectives on that. No good are we all saying, yeah, we're all the same, blah, blah, blah. No, it's better when, it's like, for example, this LibreOffice and Collabra situation, I can say it now, Collabra situation. There is two different sides, and both are equally right in many ways. So, but it's nice to hear that conversation. Well, they said that. Oh no, but they said that. And in the end, you don't have to make a conclusion, but you can sit back and say, well, that information. That's what I think.
So okay, so moving forward, how are we going to plan to address? We've talked about the load on Bill. But I just wanted to say, by the way, I'm really sorry that me myself, I didn't step up and help out. I didn't know that it was causing
please
such
don't.
problems for you. Yeah, and I just want to say that we all really, even Joe, really appreciates the work that you do.
And I know, I know.
Oh, yeah. So don't.
You're all
that's
shit.
point number one.
I know, but
Yeah. But so that's one thing. So the other thing was about maybe streamlining or keeping stuff more newsy. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to. If that's all we do, that's fine. If we want to put innards in randomly, that's fine as well. Because sometimes there are some interesting things that do come up. I just think communication is the key. And as I said, if people want to keep wanderings, I'm happy with that. If people want to take wanderings out, I'm happy with that. At the end of the day, we're all doing this.
We can't just abandon wanderings. That is a non-issue. I however, think we can detach it.
Yes. But it's like now we can start. Now the beautiful thing. I mean, without getting too commercial, it's not commercial, but it's just like helping somebody out. It's like you start talking about a new. Like we know that Dale's going to be talking next week about X, Y, and Z distros, but you can drop little hints into it because we're all working together as one team, and we keep doing cross promote. I'm sorry, but it's my
I'm good.
marketing head. But you're like, we've got to keep like pushing
the
everybody forward. It's
How did
not.
the interview go?
We got to try and work together to push everybody forwards to each of the podcasts. So if I know like Dale's going to be talking about, let's say, Vanilla OS, which I said I was going to do, which I'm still up for. But it's you have to, we can make hints to push them forward to get people to that podcast, and then of course Dale can always push back to our podcast, and it helps it grow because it's not just about it's not about ego and trying to expand. It's about helping the community. I think people often think that we're doing it.
So I mean,
People think we're doing it all for our egos, but we're actually. This is really when I tune into a podcast, I'm expecting to get something back from it because I want to hear something. So we're actually helping people.
So if we want to go down, as I said, the route of having a family podcast, which we've already kind of got, I suppose, but a mintCast main edition, a mintCast Debian, Wanderings edition, or whatever, an LMDE type of.
He about said Debian edition. mintCast Debian edition.
Yeah, which is just us doing the wandering or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just
getting a little late over there, is it?
Yeah. The only thing is, as I said, the amount of work it might involve.
It's going to hinge on me not doing it all. That's
100%, and that's fine. As I said,
but you got to do it my way.
Yeah, fine, Bill. Fine, Bill. You can be the man. You can be the man. All right.
Just kidding. I think I would want to. No, never mind. I'm not going to say. No, okay. I would want the website to maintain its continuity, but as far as like the video and the audio editing, it can. Smells like skunk in here.
Okay, so if that's what you guys,
smells like mango kiwi in
nobody
here.
has to make. Yeah, nobody has to make any decisions right now. But I think if by later on this week, if we will come up with an idea, kind of what we agreed to go forward, then I think that makes sense.
I think for the time being, all we really needed to agree on is this website and this umbrella concept, and then we can grow the concept from there. Yeah.
As I said, I think it's a good idea. And I like the name Syndicate as well. And I want to nick it before somebody else does.
Well, that's because we're all one big family. Hey,
family. It's over. You mess with the family.
Yeah, man.
No, you're messing with me. You know what I'm saying? I'll take you off at the fucking kneecaps, alright?
Okay, so it's obviously now descending into farce now. So at this point, I'll go again. All right. It is 10:04 here, though.
Oh, go save somebody's life, Majid.
Yeah, I will do. One hernia at a time.
Are we voting now for Linux Syndicate?
I think it's a go.
Yeah. I think silence is consent.
Yes.
Welcome to mintCast, a Linux Syndicate podcast.
No, Majid, that type of thinking will get you arrested and put on lists.
mintCast, part of the Linux Syndicate family.
There you go.
Yeah. This is the Linux Syndicate family podcast, mintCast. This time it's angry and green.
I'm gonna get the text from this and then use AI to summarize all of this so that I can figure out what the hell we talked about for the last 2 hours.
So long term, the plan is to have more shows.
I think that's one thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's gonna.
I think long term. I think that's the trajectory that's best. I think.
Okay, maybe we should also look at monetization.
How to do surgery with Linux with Atypical Doctor.
Yeah, we need
Oh
you.
no!
We need you
How to
run.
knock
Are you
people
okay?
out?
Are
I don't
you?
knock people out. I normally use a cricket bat to knock people out, but yeah.
Anesthesia and
conscious.
these. Yeah,
Anesthesia
anesthesia,
with-
these 3 steps.
Open source
Anesthesia
anesthesia.
OS.
Open
That's
source
a bit of a
anesthesia.
niche
That's not a bad
syndicate
idea,
right now.
actually. Not a bad idea. You're giving me all sorts of ideas now.
Are we going to have a secret like handshake or hand symbols? You know, like
It's like
Well, like that.
Boy,
That'll work.
getting awfully nerdy in here.
All right, lads. I will catch you guys later now.
All right,
See you
we'll
later.
see you.
Bye.
I don't know if that would be like the West Side Crips and Vulcan
Well,
salute.
no.
Leo said, "Welcome to the syndicate."
I keep, you know, some of the over the seas slang I understand, and then I have to remember some of the overseas hand symbols, and
do you know what that means?
I know
It
it's
means
not
fuck off,
supposed-
doesn't it?
It's the same as this one.
Yeah.
It
That's
comes from
Italian?
the battles of Agincourt. They used to, when the British fought against the French,
Oh, the
the French
rivalry.
used
Oh,
to
the French,
cut the 2
okay.
fingers off. So they couldn't, the French used to cut the British archers because they were so good, they cut their fingers off. And so they couldn't
draw
pull the bows.
Yeah.
So the British became as like a taunt to the French. Look, no, I've still got my 2 bow fingers. That's where it came.
Oh.
Now the 1 finger, I have no idea of the history of.
It's
I
actually
don't think it's anything to do with bows.
It's actually representational of you know, balls and,
Yeah.
and shaft.
Oh, right, moving on. And yeah, back to the French.
Because if you want to talk French, you need balls.
Oh, no.
It's like the Monty Python. I will touch you again a second time.
I love your Monty Python quotes. This is awesome.
I grew up watching it. I had no choice.
That was bigger than it
Mrs. Joe.
deserved to be over here.
Mrs. Joe.
Thank you,
Hello,
PBS.
Mrs. Joe.
All right, kids.
So
I'm
we're
gonna
all
hit this
good.
blue
I
button.
think we're going forward on the syndicate then.
It sounds like it. Boy, it sure didn't take as long to get everybody on board on the other shows. This felt somewhat laborious.
I was on board. It's just
No, you had
A lot of
questions,
it changed.
and it's. Look, this show's been around a long time, so you need to, any changes you make, you need to come at these things with maturity
And if you
and
do it-
level-headedness. You
and
know?
if you do it too quickly, you will lose even more viewers.
Yeah.
Be aware of that.
And if you
Or
And if you
listeners.
cross us, we will leave you with a laptop screen in your bed.
Next to the bed.
Promise?
On your pillow.
I
you
need
know,
a new
like,
screen for one of mine,
with a
actually.
horse's
Oh,
head,
dude,
we've
I
got-
will,
we've
I
got a
will,
laptop
I will
screen.
turn it into a portable monitor. I got one right here as an example. I got another one back there as an example. If you want me to pull it out, I mean,
I was going for a sort of Godfather sort of mode, but okay. That's like,
hey, you know, horse brains are delicious. You just got to cook them up right.
You're on your own with that one.
Proper barbecue sauce.
All right, folks. I'm going to kill the stream. Thanks a lot, everybody, in the live stream.